Indiana News Desk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana News Desk. The price of a gallon of gas costs more now than it ever has, and it's not likely to come down anytime soon.
I would anticipate that gas prices could be as much as 30 or 40 cents higher this summer than they are right now.
Ahead, we talk with an expert about the impact on the global market of the crisis in Ukraine. The state's lone milk bank in Indianapolis has been scrambling to keep up with an increased demand for breast milk since last fall.
Really, we are processing and using milk the second it comes in the door.
One reason demand has increased is supply chain issues with infant formula. And the Indiana legislature wrapped up its 2022 session this week, passing a tax cut and new gun legislation, but killing some more controversial bills. Those stories, plus the latest news headlines, right now on Indiana News Desk. Welcome to Indiana News Desk. I'm Joe Wren. Gas prices in Indiana are hovering around $4.25 a gallon, according to AAA. That's up almost 90 cents from a month ago, and it's likely to go higher. Pat Bean has this report.
Kelley School of Business faculty member Kyle Anderson says a few factors play into rising gas prices.
We've got a lot of pent-up demand for travel, especially. The economy is growing very rapidly right now. So demand, the consumption of gas is just up by a lot. And the U.S. consumers want to buy more gas, want to travel more.
But, Anderson says, the sharp increase in the past week can be attributed to the war in Ukraine. He says the Russian invasion and sanctions because of it have spurred anticipation that less oil will be available on the world market, which is driving up the price of gas. In the U.S., the average price is $4.33 a gallon, which tops the previous record of $4.10 a gallon set in the summer of 2008. Beyond the war in Ukraine, prices may continue to rise for seasonal reasons. Anderson says the summer is when gas prices are typically the highest because of increased travel.
If nothing changes for the better, I would anticipate that gas prices could be as much as 30 or 40 cents higher this summer than they are right now.
Anderson says the gas price increases can have a ripple effect. If consumers have to spend more on gas, they may spend less on other things. And because many goods are transported by truck, higher transportation costs can cause the price of other goods to rise. For Indiana News Desk, I'm Pat Bean.
We're joined now by Nico Ziroyenis, an assistant professor at the IU O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs, for more on the oil and gas crisis. Hello, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the invitation.
So, a lot of blame going around in Washington on rising oil prices. You have the GOP claims the president stifled oil production by a moratorium on new leases and halting construction on the Keystone XL pipeline. The White House says there are 9,000 unused oil leases and oil companies just need to start production. Where's the reality?
One thing to keep in mind is that oil markets are global markets, right? So the U.S. is one of many producers of oil and one of many consumers of oil. So any additional oil production that's going to come out of the U.S. will have some impact in reducing oil prices, but that impact will be spread across the globe, right? Every crisis, every oil crisis offers significant hardship because it leads to increased prices. It's also an opportunity, right? An opportunity to decide that we have to move away from oil if we want to be truly energy independent. And by moving away from oil, I mean converting to a transportation fleet that relies on electric vehicles, that completely reduces its reliance from oil by emphasizing internal combustion engines, right? We need to electrify the transportation fleet, and that means providing incentives for electric vehicles, expanding the network of electric charging stations so that more people can drive EVs.
So earlier this week, the president banned oil, gas imports from Russia to the U.S. How much oil and gas do we get from Russia, and what kind of effect could that have?
So we get about 8%. So out of all the oil we import in the U.S. last year, 8% came from Russia. Compare that to about 51%, which is the oil that comes from Canada. Right, so Russia is a pretty small exporter of oil to the U.S. It's an important number, though. So it will have an impact in raising prices in the U.S. What's important to keep in mind is that along with the U.S., many other countries have started banning Russian oil, right? So other countries have not, like China, who still accepts Russian oil. So as more and more countries start banning Russian exports, that means that oil supply will start decreasing. And what the markets are reacting to is an anticipation of further reduction in oil supply. So this anticipation further plays into how the prices are affected in the marketplace.
Sure. Well, for now, the president released about 30 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Oil Reserve. Is this simply a matter of companies and nations ramping up production?
Exactly. So everybody's trying to ramp up production. There's a debate whether OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, whether they will increase production. So from the supplier side, there's a conundrum, right? On the one hand, you want prices to increase because that increases your profits and your revenues. But as price increases, that potentially increases your competition, right? We saw that in the 1979 oil crisis, where other countries started exploring for oil in order to boost their own production. So for every supplier, there is a bit of a balance that they have to trend in terms of, are they willing to release more oil, or are they going to wait, keep the oil in the ground, and be happy to rein in the profits that come from higher prices?
So it's about 30 seconds left, but let's look back at the pandemic. How much that hold back production?
That held back production a lot. Remember that in April 2020, we saw oil trending in negative prices, meaning there was too much supply. Nobody was commuting, nobody was using oil. So that definitely put the brakes on oil production. Suppliers responded to that by adjusting their plans. And now suppliers again have to adjust their production schedule based on this increased demand that we see.
Professor, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
The Milk Bank, which distributes donor milk to premature, ill, and other needing infants across the Midwest, has been experiencing shortages since the fall. Benta Boutier reports the nonprofit is hoping for increased donations to meet the demand.
So this is sort of the stash that I have.
Lauren O'Reilly wasn't aware of the increased need for breast milk when she looked into donating last year after realizing she was producing more than what her newborn son needed.
So I think it's for those people who are really just kind of happen to have an oversupply. Sometimes we don't know why these things happen or can't predict it. But if you do, and you'd like to give back, it's a really simple process.
She's donated over 100 ounces so far. A 3-month-old baby can consume 2 to 3 ounces of milk per pound of body weight every day. O'Reilly pumps the milk and lays it flat to freeze before taking it to All Options Pregnancy Resource Center. From there, it goes to the Milk Bank in Indianapolis. Milk Bank Director Freedom Kolb says she isn't sure what the reasons are for the increased demand, but says supply chain issues with baby formula have increased hospitals' need.
We know some of our NICU partners have indicated if that is the case, that they will turn to safe human milk from an accredited milk bank to offset that supply shortage as well.
She says her organization first noticed the spike last fall and began planning ahead by trying to recruit more donors. Demand for milk supply from the milk bank increased by 40% in 2021, according to Kolb. Donations haven't kept pace, increasing by 30%.
But I'm cautious to call it a supply shortage.
Donations can be dropped off at locations across the state, which are then sent to the Milk Bank in Indianapolis, which is the only milk bank in the state. The milk bank distributes the milk to NICUs and households with infants in need. So far, Kolb says they haven't had to turn anyone away, but they are checking donation drop-off locations more often and have had to alter hours of packaging and processing to keep up with demand.
What has happened is the shift in the store of inventory and how long the process is between when we receive milk and when we dispense milk has shortened. Really, we are processing and using milk the second it comes in the door.
Breast milk is vital to infant development and helps protect against illnesses like ear infections, pneumonia, and sepsis, according to Dr. Ikanem Akinola. It also helps prevent obesity and some childhood cancers. She says part of the increased demand can be attributed to the raised awareness of milk's benefits.
And that increase has occurred not just with the Indianapolis Milk Bank, but even a lot of the other milk banks across the country and Canada are experiencing an increased demand for breast milk. I think people realize more and more the benefits of human milk in the care of infants. I think more NICUs are providing breast milk and using it for their newborns.
Akinola says the smaller an infant is, the more important it will be that they have ready access to breast milk. She says her hospital, St. Vincent's, hasn't had to adjust to the shortages yet. Kolb says that if supply is unable to keep up with demand, milk would go to the infants most in need first, like those with necrotizing enterocolitis. Kolb and Akinola hope that increased education will encourage more mothers who are able to donate to do so. O'Reilly says she's glad she's been in a position to donate. She hopes it will help instill altruistic values in her son later in life.
I really think that it hopefully just sort of teaching him about how to donate time or whatever you have, and instilling those sort of values in him. And so, if it's him having extra food or extra toys, how could we give back to people who don't have those things? And so maybe we'll sort of share this story with him about how I was able to give breast milk.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Bente Boutier.
The Human Milk Banking Association of North America reported distributing 9.2 million ounces of breast milk in 2021, a 22% increase from 2020. Well, Pantry 279 in Ellettsville has outgrown its current space and is looking for a larger location. The pantry has the money, but the problem is finding a location that will work. Callie Lichter has this story.
Cindy Chavez is a difficult person to keep up with. As the director of Pantry 279, she wears many hats: custodian, fundraiser, grant writer. When she started the pantry about 6 years ago, they were serving 3,500 people a month. Now that's up to 8,000. And she says that their space at Trinity Lutheran Church isn't cutting it anymore.
We really need things like walk-ins, walk-in refrigerators, walk-in freezers, so that way we don't have to throw out vegetables and bread at the end of the night because it's not going to make it to the next day. It's going to mold or go bad.
Chavez says getting a community development block grant to help pay for a new space was the easy part. It's finding a location to move that's proven, at least so far, to be impossible.
At the end of the day, the landlords have decided that they don't want to go with us because of the amount of people we serve. They said we serve too many, our traffic is too high.
The pantry does have some storage inside and off-site, but Chavez says it's like playing Tetris or Jenga. She wants a place where she can store everything in one area and staff members won't be tripping over each other. A bigger space also means the pantry would be able to take large donations. She says just having land for a pole barn would be enough. But 2 weeks ago, space wasn't the issue.
With our numbers high up, though, we couldn't handle it anymore and we ran out of food.
Fortunately, Chavez says the community, including Hoosier Hills Food Bank, rallied together to get in supplies and they were only closed for a day. But this is the reality in a world riddled with supply chain issues.
People seem to be very willing to donate money and say, here's $500 here, here's a food drive. But when it comes to actually having it in your backyard, they don't want it.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Callie Lichter.
Coming up next on Indiana News Desk. The Indiana legislature wrapped the 2022 session this week that saw Republicans battling Republicans over some contentious bills. And Bloomington is moving forward with a plan to create an online mapping system to show which properties in town had racially restrictive covenants. These stories and more right here on Indiana News Desk.
Wake up.
Wake up to the world.
To the marvels. The mayhem.
The music.
Wake up to the wows. The woes.
The wonder.
Wake up to the commotion. To the beauty.
To the humanity.
To the hope. Wake up every morning. Fully awake.
NPR Morning Edition.
Tune in to your local station or download the NPR app.
Welcome back to Indiana News Desk. A measure to remove a legal defense for Indiana schools and public libraries accused of sharing harmful material failed during this year's legislative session. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Jeannie Lindsay explains the Senate voted down the proposal in its final move before adjournment.
The language would have removed a defense option for K-12 schools, public libraries, and their employees if prosecuted for sharing harmful material with children. It was initially proposed as Senate Bill 17 and part of a controversial curriculum bill that both died. Then lawmakers added the change into a bill with a lot of different ideas about towing, drugs, and parole. The House passed it, but the Senate voted it down, just barely. Senate President Pro Tem Roderick Bray says the bill was overloaded.
The bottom line is when you add a lot of ideas, sometimes the bill gets too heavy to move forward.
The Senate rejected the bill 21-29. Then it adjourned for the year. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Jeannie Lindsay.
We're joined now by Indiana Public Broadcasting State House reporter Brandon Smith for more on bills that will make it to the governor's desk and some that won't. Hi, Brandon.
Hey there, Joe.
So one of the big wins for Republicans this session was the elimination of the need for a permit to carry a gun. It went through lots of debate, took a bit of a winding route to finally pass the House and Senate. What happened?
Well, the bill always easily passed the House, which was expected because the House has passed this bill before. It's had a tougher road in the Senate, and that was no different this year. When it ultimately passed, which was in like the third different bill that the language had been placed in, the Senate took nearly 3 hours debating it on the floor, which is unusual for a single piece of legislation. And at one point, it had appeared that the Senate had killed the bill when it was in committee, and that committee hearing, which lasted nearly 9 hours, featured some really stunning testimony that Republicans took umbrage to from State Police Superintendent Doug Carter.
It's often so easy to talk about your support for public safety. But if you choose to support this bill, you will not be supporting us. You'll not be supporting your frontline officer.
Brandon, Republicans also passed a $1 billion tax cut. What are those cuts? What do they mean?
First, it eliminates 2 utility taxes that show up on your bill. Those, if the governor signs the bill as expected, will take effect July 1st. So those taxes will be gone July 1st, and that's maybe a couple dollars on the average Hoosiers utility bill. The bigger tax is the individual income tax cut. It's going to cut that down to 2.9%, but that will take place over at least 7 years. Now, the first cut is automatic, and it'll take effect on January 1st, 2023. And for a Hoosier making about $50,000 a year, they'll see a savings of about $40.
Making investments in the future and yet giving ourselves lots of flexibility to see what happens as we'll go into a budget year next year.
And Brandon, Republicans have sent a letter to the governor asking him to call a special session to address abortion laws. Now, that's if the Supreme Court overturns Roe versus Wade. Do you think that's likely? And what kind of legislation would they try to pass?
I think it's very likely that the governor would call the special session. I won't try to predict what the U.S. Supreme Court will do, but a lot of people think it will make it easier for states to restrict abortion rights, and basically the state will do whatever the Supreme Court says it can.
Lawmakers also looked at rolling back sentencing requirements they put in place nearly a decade ago. What happened with that bill?
Sure, that bill, as you mentioned, the criminal code reform that happened about a decade ago was intended to send low-level nonviolent felons keep them out of the state's prison system, put them in community corrections programs. But unfortunately, what they also need is a lot of times mental health or substance abuse treatment, and in some counties, those options aren't available to them at the local level. So what this bill says is that if a judge decides it's appropriate, they will move some of those folks into the state prison system again, where they actually have some of those programs available.
Brennan, we have to go. Thanks so much for all of your State House reporting this session. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe.
Well, a few dozen Democrats turned out Tuesday to meet as part of the state's party's jobs tour at Bloomington's Switchyard Brewery. The events held across Indiana seek to highlight how the party's national platform is helping Hoosiers. Brock Turner has more.
While Democrats don't hold the majority of elected regional or statewide offices in Indiana, attendees like the party's Labor Caucus Chair John Hooker believe those national agenda items have weight.
State leadership currently has done a really good job of accepting money from Washington, D.C. and calling it their own.
The motion carries. Right. Our ready approvals are complete.
Hooker says one such item is the state's Ready Grant program, funded exclusively from the federal government's COVID relief efforts.
They're all geared towards increasing that cool factor in our communities, making sure we're investing in talent retention and talent attraction.
Late last year, when asked what credit Democrats and President Biden should take over the state's $500 million program for local community development, Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb was unconcerned.
They can take any credit they want.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Brock Turner.
Monroe County is taking the next step in a project aimed at acknowledging the county's history of racial injustices. Mitch Legan updates us on Monroe County's project to identify and map racially restrictive housing covenants.
I spoke with Bloomington resident Marcy Wensler last year for a special edition of our City Limits program. She had written in with questions about the city's history of racially restrictive housing covenants.
The main thing that strikes me is that there's so much we don't know. And it's very easy for us not to know.
Our research took us to the Monroe County Recorder's Office, where staff had begun looking into the same thing. Deputy Recorder Ashley Craner is leading the project.
We were aware of them, but then it was kind of like, there's actually more in here than we initially maybe thought. So we started just collecting the various subdivisions.
Covenants are private agreements in a housing deed that the buyer of a property has to follow. They can cover anything from how tall the fence is to what color the house is painted. In the past, the covenants also determined who could live there. Those racial covenants are unenforceable now, but since they're in legal documents, the language remains.
The ownership and occupancy of lots and buildings or parts thereof in this edition are forever restricted to members of the white race.
Craner, her staff, and the Monroe County History Center have identified 12 plats that have racially exclusive language. They've identified over 1,000 individual deeds that are impacted.
I said, well, what we need to do is start mapping these. And so that's our next step.
The Recorder's Office is teaming up with the county's Geographic Information System Division to create an online map of which properties had racial covenants. I spoke with Bloomington resident Ken Thomas last year about his experience trying to find a house in the 60s.
There was one realtor that sticks in my mind. He absolutely told me that he did not have anything a person of color could buy. It was very demeaning. It was really hard to stomach.
Others got ahead of the issue before it could become a problem. Gene Devane was friends with a white lawyer who took care of everything.
Having grown up in the South and understanding what the rules were, the unwritten rules were, I decided to circumvent that. I heard complaints from those friends of ours who tried to get homes and were not successful with it.
The impact of housing discrimination is still being felt today. According to research presented by the county's Black Democratic Caucus, areas of the city that had racially restrictive housing covenants have homes that normally sell above Bloomington's market value, while areas with historically higher populations of Black residents usually sell under market.
So the average Black population here is 3.7%, but only 1% of that population owns a home.
Craner says the project will open a new door for those interested in the county's history. But more importantly, it'll help show how injustices of the past still impact residents today.
You know, it's fascinating, it's horrific, but I think it'll give the community and individuals something to learn from and ask themselves questions. Homeowners probably don't even know.
Those who are concerned about having that language in their housing deeds shouldn't worry, according to Craner. The General Assembly passed a bill last year that allows homeowners to draft documents clarifying the covenant's illegality. Craner says the Recorder's Office is working on a system to help with that. For Indiana News Desk, I'm Mitch Legan.
Bloomington annexation protesters hit their $10,000 fundraising goal and are doubling down to stop annexation in areas 1A and 1B. Those are the two areas that failed to get the 65% petition signatures needed to void annexation, but they did meet the 51% threshold needed to appeal the annexation in court. Now, those against annexation just need to find an attorney.
There is one attorney I have been in communications with who is trying to research the case and just make sure it's worthy of bringing before a court.
And during the pandemic, local distillery Cardinal Spirits produced 10,000 gallons of hand sanitizer, and now they're being recognized for their efforts. Kelly Lichter reports.
Bloomington Mayor John Hamilton has proclaimed Monday as Local Hand Sanitizer Day. In honor of the proclamation, co-founder and president Jeff Wuslich says that Cardinal Spirits is giving away unlimited hand sanitizer from Monday through the end of the month.
It's our way of giving back to the community. If you know Cardinal Spirits, you know that we're always deeply engaged in our community, and we want to make sure that we help everybody that we can.
For individuals wanting to skip the line, walk-in orders are available along with pre-orders on their website starting Sunday. Bulk orders can be purchased online. Wuslich says that even though this is a win for small local businesses, there's still more to be done.
I would just encourage everybody to continue to support local like we have during this pandemic.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Callie Lichter.
That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana News Desk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.